They say money makes the world go round, but what if I told you that a tech company, yes, a company that started in a garage, now has more money than some entire nations? Apple, the brand behind iPhones, MacBooks and AirPods, is wealthier than most of the world's countries. And the way they've done it, well, it's not what you think. Apple's journey to financial dominance didn't just happen because they sell fancy gadgets. There's a whole strategy behind their empire, one that includes secret business moves, psychological pricing, and a level of brand loyalty that almost feels like a cult. By the time you finish this video, you'll see why Apple is in a financial league of its own. And trust me, it's not just because they charge $1,000 for a phone stand. Let's start with the numbers because they're insane. Apple's market cap, over $3 trillion. That's more than the GDP of countries like the UK, India, and even France. In fact, if Apple were a country, it would be among the top 10 economies in the world. Just let that sink in for a second. A company that started with two guys building computers in a garage is now more financially powerful than entire nations. But here's what's even crazier. Apple isn't just about making money, it's about keeping it. Unlike governments that have to spend money on things like infrastructure, healthcare, and running a country, Apple gets to keep a huge portion of its cash. And they're strategic about it. Ever wondered why Apple has billions of dollars stashed overseas? It's because they take advantage of international tax laws in a way that most businesses, and even countries, can't. One of Apple's biggest tricks is something called the double Irish with a Dutch sandwich, which, despite sounding like a weird pub order, is actually a tax loophole. Here's how it works. Apple routes its profits through subsidiaries in Ireland and the Netherlands to drastically lower the amount of taxes they pay. This legal, but controversial strategy has saved them billions over the years. Now let's talk about how Apple makes its money, because selling phones is just the tip of the iceberg. Apple doesn't just sell products, they sell ecosystems. When you buy an iPhone, you're not just buying a phone, you're locking yourself into the Apple universe. Your iCloud, your MacBook, your AirPods, your Apple Watch, all of it works together seamlessly. And once you're in, leaving is nearly impossible. Think about it. How many people do you know who have an iPhone but refuse to switch to Android, even when the other phone has better features? Apple traps customers in the best way possible. They make their products so interconnected that switching would feel like cutting off an arm. And that means recurring revenue, something that most companies dream of. Then there's Apple's real moneymaker services. Apple Music, iCloud, the App Store, Apple Pay, Apple TV Plus, these aren't just side hustles. They generate over $80 billion a year. And the best part, unlike physical products, services have almost no production cost. Once they're set up, they just keep making money. And speaking of money, have you ever noticed that Apple rarely discounts anything? That's because they play the pricing game better than anyone else. Instead of lowering prices, they create perceived value. They make customers feel like they're getting something exclusive, something premium. That's why people camp outside Apple stores just to get a new iPhone, even when it looks exactly like last year's model. Apple is also a master of upselling. Think about it. You buy an iPhone, but now you need AirPods, then a MagSafe charger, then AppleCare, then a subscription to iCloud because oh no, your storage is full. Before you know it, you've spent hundreds, if not thousands more than you originally planned. And Apple knows this. They've turned it into a science. Now, here's where it gets even wilder. Apple's cash reserves. Apple has over $200 billion in cash. To put that in perspective, that's more than the foreign currency reserves of some major countries. If Apple wanted to, they could literally buy Disney in cash and still have billions left over. But despite all this success, Apple has challenges ahead. Rivals like Samsung and Google are catching up, and governments are starting to crack down on big tech. There are also questions about innovation. Has Apple hit its peak? Can they keep convincing people to pay premium prices for incremental updates? One thing is for sure, Apple isn't just a company, it's an economy. And as long as people continue to line up for new iPhones, subscribe to Apple services, and stay trapped in the ecosystem, Apple will remain richer than some of the world's biggest countries. So, what do you think? Is Apple's dominance unstoppable, or will they eventually fall? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this video interesting, check out the next one popping on your screen. See you there. But before you go, here's a crazy fact. Did you know Apple once designed a gold-plated iPhone worth over $15 million? Find out the shocking details in the next video on your screen right now.